So this is a video about these IKEA Grillplats smart plugs, the UK versions, and how you can convert them to being relay-free smart sockets that are just energy monitors. So I saw a Cameron Gray video about this a little while ago, and he was showing off some off-the-shelf relay-free smart sockets that were sold on AliExpress and some other places. And you could buy them and they just did not have a relay switch inside, so it purely did energy monitoring. And I thought that was pretty useful. I have a few smart sockets scattered around my smart home right now. Some of them are plugged into things I'd really like to not turn off. And for those things at the moment, my solution was just to write like a watchdog type automation in Home Assistant. So it would check to see whether it was on, and if it was ever turned off, it would just turn it back on again. You can also disable the buttons on some of them, but sometimes, you know, something could trigger it to turn off, like some kind of power issue or something like that. And just to keep my mind at rest, to make those devices stay online, that was my solution. But there is better solutions out there, and having a smart socket that is only an energy monitor and cannot be turned off is the kind of most foolproof way of dealing with that scenario. So things like my fridge and freezer, I don't ever want to turn off. Some servers, like just connected PCs, and my partner also keeps snakes, so she's got some heaters connected to the smart plugs as well, just for energy monitoring purposes, but something we don't ever want to turn off because that can endanger the snakes. So I got these IKEA Grillplats smart plugs as a bit of a test, just to see how they fared, because it's the first kind of thread product that I'd used. These use matter over thread, for anyone that doesn't know. They work really well paired to my Apple TV thread border router, and then I've connected them into my Home Assistant through Matter. Home Assistant has some really good detailed readings for energy and power, with like readings for active, effective, apparent and reactive current, so you get a lot of detail out of these. And I haven't had any connection issues or anything like that. They've been rock solid for the whole time. My previous attempts all use Zigbee products, and they are pretty good for the most part, but every now and then I'd have one drop off the Zigbee mesh for some reason or another. So these are particularly good for this purpose because they are pretty easy to open and non-destructively mod, so that you can bypass the relay. And when they're switched off, the readings are still available. So even if it's like turned off the switch here, Home Assistant thinks it's off, but you can still see the current and energy monitoring readings coming out of it. That's not the same with all smart plugs. I've seen some that turn off those values, or they just zero them out when the switch is off. So this is a pretty good solution for that. So it doesn't matter what the switch state is, it will always give you those readings. I just disable the switch entity in Home Assistant so that I don't accidentally turn it off or on, but it really doesn't matter even if it does get accidentally turned off or on, because it will always be powered. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to mod these, take them apart and fit the sort of relay bypass, and I'll show you how that works. Let me just get this out of the way. So on the back here, there's 3 screws, and you need a special security screwdriver to open this. It is this kind here, if I can get it to focus. It's like a 2-pronged kind of affair. Come on, focus please. Yeah, okay, so it's like one of these. What does the markings on it say? U2.3, if that's any use to you. All right, let's take these screws out. They're kind of long, but not difficult. It's annoying that they use this security screw. It would have been nicer if they used a Phillips screw or a Torx screw, but they're easy enough to come by. But they are fiddly. There we go. But then screws aren't the only thing holding it together. There are some clips around the outside as well. And to open that, we'll use one of these little like spudgery type opener tools. I like this one because it's got like the angled bevel with a little lip inside, and that's good for running around the inside of the plastic shell to loosen the clips. So I found the best way to open it is just following off one of these pins, just kind of stuff it in the edge. You can use like a metal screwdriver as well, but then you risk damaging the surface or marring it. But this is like the hardest part of the whole affair. Maybe try the other side. Yeah, it is not the easiest, but you can get in there. There we go. So once it's in, just run the tool around the edge. Yeah, popped out, but it's okay. It's still left me a gap. I think I got one of the clips there. So I just keep running it around. You'll hear the clips pop open until they're all popped, and then success. So inside, the top housing just comes off straight away, and inside here there are 2 screws holding the PCB onto the bottom part of the housing. So let's undo those screws. There we go. And then on the back, if you kind of push the pins out, the plastic just comes off like that. So I'll put that to one side, and we'll take a little closer look at this circuit board because it's quite interesting. So the build quality of this is pretty good. I'm really impressed by these. The construction that they've got is sensible, and these like pins that hold the plug socket pins are very high quality. Well, they're very thick and stiff, which is what you want. We can see the main relay here, and that's the normal method that uses to switch on and off the power. It's rated for 18 amps at 277 volts. It can technically go higher if the voltage is lower, like 20 amps at 125 volts, but for our purposes, we're in the UK, so we're in the 200 range for the voltage. So if we have a look, what else we got component-wise, there is this component here, if I poke my tweezers at it. So that is the metering IC. The part number is BL0942, and it's a sub 1% accuracy metering IC. It's pretty good by most accounts. And then the main SoC is on the side here on this little daughter board. And that is based on the Telink TLS-R9 series chips. It's like a multi-purpose wireless smart home type device chip. It's got Bluetooth, Thread, Zigbee, and some other proprietary 2.4 gigahertz protocols supported in there. And then on the top, just a little button, single switch, a couple of LEDs, nice metal one, not a rubbish plasticky one. And then I don't think there's anything else on the bottom, just some passive components. There's the big current shunt resistor that it uses to measure the energy. And yeah, that's pretty much it for a tour. I think there's one little chip on the center there that I think is an LDO, just a little regulator for the power supply. But yeah, so what we need to do is bridge out this relay. So we don't want the relay to do anything else. Normally it would connect and disconnect the power, but we're going to just skip it. Basically, we're going to short it out. And on the back side is where we will do that. So if we look over here, these 2 pins, get my poking device, this one and this one, these are the ones we need to bridge. So it's really easy to do that because it's right next to 2 giant solder points. So we can bridge this onto this giant solder plane here. This is a ground plane. And then this one, it's got this nice big sort of bridge section here that's plenty room to solder onto. Now, we don't want to do it just with solder alone because it's quite far, the distance between those 2 pins. So we will use a bit of wire. And I would suggest you find yourself some twin and earth wire. I've got some here. I've just stripped a bit back. We want ideally 1.5mm cross-sectional area, solid copper wire, and it needs to be about 8 or 9mm long. So I'm just going to hold it up to the little pins here, just put it kind of next to them. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Hopefully that's in focus. So yeah, we'll just kind of do this. And then use our snips. You don't want to be cutting this thick wire with little snips, so make sure you've got some ones that can handle thicker wire. And then we will use that as our bridge, and we'll solder it in between these 2 points here. And for that we'll need our soldering iron. So you want it pretty hot because these are large areas of heat thermal transfer. It'll take a lot of the heat out of your iron when you're doing this. So I'm using like 320 degrees on my pine sol here. Let me just put this in a mount so I can kind of maneuver it a bit better. There we go. Just my little 3D printed vise that I've got here. Okay. So I'm going to put my little wire short in some tweezers, hold it in there, and kind of place it on the board for now. I think I'll move it in a second, but I'm actually going to put some solder down on those points first of all. So get your solder, and then let's flow some more solder onto the 2 pins, just so it's got plenty of fresh solder to connect to, because we want those joints nice and full of solder basically. Yeah, that's looking good. So I think we'll do it kind of between the 2 pins this way, because then it's got a lot of area on this side for it to solder to, and then on the other side of course as well. So I'm just going to start with the bottom one here and just kind of heat up the whole thing, and I'll add some solder to it as well. It's okay if it moves around for now. And then I'll heat it up again and push it into position for the top one, and then do the same. Let me spin this round. There we go. That's connected on both ends there. Let's flow in some more solder for good measure. So let's have a closer look at that connection there. So there's our bridge, our solid copper bridge between those 2 points. So that effectively takes the relay out of the circuit now. So it goes straight from the power pin directly to the output pin, the input to the output. It doesn't go through that relay anymore. And that's what we want. So let's put it back together. It was a little bit hot after all that heat that was left in there. So let's put it down on this section first. Push that in. It'll clip in. You'll hear it. And then we've got to put our 2 little screws in. I've been doing this a few times now, and I've forgotten these little screws a couple of times. I've had to open it up again and put the little screws back in. So don't forget to put these ones in first. And if your wire is too big, it sticks off the edge of the PCB, it won't neatly clip into this housing, so you'll know that something's wrong if it doesn't go into there neatly. And then we'll take the top, place it over the top, and give it a good squeeze. You hear those clips click into place. That's all good. Our button still works fine. And then our security screws. Let's put those back in. Doing the old reverse trick where you just reverse it a little bit until you hear a click, and then you screw it down That stops you cutting new threads into the plastic and making it looser over time. Sorry if the view of me, the top of my hand screwing isn't particularly good. Get this over and done with. There we go. And it's all together now. So let me just prove to you what we've done. So I'm going to bring in my power strip here. So this is plugged in and it's live. And we'll plug our smart plug in. If we look at the top, the little light is turned on. And if I press the button, it will start clicking. The light didn't go off, but I think that happens on the very first time you do it, because I haven't plugged this in before. It's straight out the box, as you saw. Okay, so that's on and off now. And then I'm just going to get this other power monitor here, but it's got a screen on it, so we can tell if the power is on to it or not very easily. So yeah, right now it's powered and the LED is on. If I click it, it's off. We can hear the relay click, but the power still is on, which is exactly what we want. So no matter what we do with that relay, on, off, the power remains on. So yeah, that's the whole mod. It's very easy, very quick, non-destructive. You can undo it again just by unsoldering that link. Put it back to the way it was. Annoyingly, why is the max 13 amp indentation, like the little embossing, it's upside down? It was like that in the old versions as well, the larger ones. Weird. Anyway, that's it. Yep, if you got any questions, let me know.